Yo, Jazz, we ready to go? Let's get it. I want you to say it with me on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Life of Bliss.
Let's go.
Don't let this moment past you. Grab you a pen in the pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life of bliss. Don't let this moment past you. Grab you a pen in the pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life of bliss.
Yo, thanks for chiming in on another episode of Life of Bliss. Hopefully you've been involved along the journey, the Life of Bliss family. Hopefully you got the book and you're flipping the pages and you've read and then you push play and I get to expound on what you've already read. Hopefully you have become a Life of Bliss person where you pull out sticky notes and you got a pen and a pad and you identify good things that you want to do. My hope is that you are now convinced that I've won you over to be a Life of Bliss person. Thank you for hitting that play button. Subscribe, share, drop in the comment section. And as always, if you don't have a book, reach out to me. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. I don't have a TikTok. I've been debating on whether or not I get a TikTok, but I don't have it. Email. You can contact Possibilities. Whatever you do, I need the book in your hand because it's some really cool stuff. And today we're talking about encouragement. In fact, the name of this topic is Encouragement Always Wins. Of course, you know I can't go in without first talking about Possibilities. Thank you so much for hosting this episode. Paradigm Shift, thank you so much for powering it. Want to give a shout out to Santiago, the man, the myth, the legend, the magic behind the machine, and Jazz on the ones and twos here in spirit. Thank you all so much for supporting Derek Sire and my Life of Bliss. Let's dive in. So when I think about my son playing soccer, it's so cool. Like, this dude can fly. And I'm pretty sure y'all probably sick and tired of me talking about my kids and my family and my friends, but I can only speak on the things that I know. And what I do know for facts is my son is faster than your kid. I know for a fact I will meet you anywhere in Oklahoma City, in the mall. I will meet you at a park, and my son is going to dust your son up and down the street. I may be a little overconfident. He's not that type of dude. He's not going to challenge you. In fact, he would probably be super embarrassed and he wouldn't race you. But I know for real that my son, he loves to run. Like when he's out on the soccer field and he's chasing people down, like it's amazing to watch this kid be in an element where he thrives. But what I learned early on is that encouragement was the way to get him to perform best and not necessarily in the moment correction or redirection. He is not the type of person where I'm like, yo, you messed up. Like, he shuts all the way down. If I'm like, yo, man, do better. Like, he shuts all the way down. But if I say, oop, I almost had him. Oop, you'll get him next time. Man, that was so close. Hey, you got him. Like, if I encourage him that way, it's amazing how much better he responds. And of course, anybody out there, if you are trying to figure out a way to become a better human, you are not letting lessons isolate themselves into moments. You are trying to transfer those concepts into other areas. And so I always try to get outside of like the family and my marriage and being a parent and my friends. And I try to like take it into community, and I try to take it into conversations, and I try to take it into business. And when I'm operate with my neighbors and when I'm talking to myself, and I've even thought about myself. Like, I don't respond the best when I speak negatively to myself. Like, this is something that I've had to really grow over. Because, you know, like growing up in a house with like brothers and like a dad who was like a manly man, you heard things like, yo, you hit like a girl, or you throw like a girl, or quit being a sissy, or, you know, you hear these things where it's like this backwards or indirect mode of motivation that's supposed to get you to try to be something by not trying to be something else. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's like, do you want to be this or do you want to be that? But they don't focus on what you want to be. They try to get you to be the thing by focusing on what they don't want you to be. That was kind of crazy. Let me say it a different way. Like, I wanted to be like my dad, who was the manliest man. And in order for me to aspire to do that, he would say, don't be a girl. If you want to be a manly man, the best way to do it is don't be a girl. Now, this is some thinking that I've had to shed over time. It's something that I try not to implement with my kids, even though it's so deeply ingrained that it's like second nature. I really have to pause. And I have to say, you know what? great job. I know what you're trying to be, and you can feel the thickness in the air as I'm trying to find the right words, and I'm trying to encourage them in a way that is uplifting and motivating and that will last tomorrow and not cause like traumatic experiences as an adult. And, you know, like all this parenting that you try to do that's really good, but not only with my kids and not only with myself, but even when I interact with people out in the community. It's so easy to talk to people and pour all your energy into what you don't want them to be versus pouring your energy into what they're aspiring to be. And if they want to aspire to be a great cook, we focus on the meals that they did well instead of talking about that burnt piece of toast that they did last week. It's like, yo, like, man, that's too salty. Your food is trash. Like, I ain't trying to like Gordon Ramsay you. I'm really trying to elevate you and push you into that space. So what does that look like? If I had to give you all 3 things, if I had to give you like 3 tips in order to help you choose encouragement first, what would be those 3 things? The first thing I would say do is you would have to know the person in order to encourage them the best. This means that if you get to know people and you spend time connecting with them, then you know the best way to encourage them. I think there's a general level of encouragement you can give people no matter who they are. But the best encouragement that I've gotten is from people who know me. People who know me, who know who I want to be, and they know my tendencies, and they know how I act and how I talk to myself. Those people know how to encourage me. So I believe the best way to encourage people is to get to know them, know their dreams, their aspirations, who they're trying to become, how they're trying to behave. That's the best way to encourage people, is to actually know them. Number 2, I think we have to find encouraging language. The more ways that I can encourage my son, like if I'm like, hey man, you cool. Hey, man, good job. Like those are going to go about ankle deep. Those are not deep encouragement. But the more I get to know people, the more I get to know how to encourage them. But in my desire to encourage them, sometimes I just don't have the language. Sometimes we're trying to be nice and not offensive, and we're trying to honor people, but sometimes we don't have the language. So I would encourage us not only to find encouragement language for ourselves, but I believe that will bleed over into the way that we engage other people. And then the third thing, I believe if we really want to find a way to best encourage people, right? It's like we got to get to know them. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need to adopt encouraging language. And then the last thing, the third thing is just don't be a jerk. Just don't be, can I say asshole on this podcast? Just don't be one. It's very easy. Santiago, my producer, was like, like you can see him shrug like through the window. Like, I guess you can say that. Just don't be mean, right? Just don't be insensitive. Like, be compassionate and be empathetic and be courteous and think of other people and try to like keep a relationship together and don't like go to the jerk move first. Even if that's how you was brought up, even if that's how you feel, even if you feel that second place is the first loser, find a different way to say it. Not only do we need to get to know people to encourage them best, but we also got to have encouraging language. We got to expand ourselves as humans, as individuals, as friends, as partners, as siblings. Like we should expand ourselves into that space. And then the last thing is just don't be a jerk. Why is that so hard for people? Why is not being a jerk hard for folks? Maybe we just come from that old school. Maybe we just cut from a different cloth where the best way to get people to do things is talk about what you don't want them to do, or the best way to encourage them is to speak negatively, or maybe you're trying to get them to respond. It's like Back to the Future. Anybody remember McFly? Was it Marty McFly? Who was the main guy? He was always provoked. Like he would walk away from a fight, and then Biff would be like, "What are you, chicken? Are you chicken?" And then Marty McFly would turn real slow and be like, "What did you just call me?" He's like, "I called you yellow." Like, you just like, why do we try to encourage people by putting them down? I think the 3 things that we can do to choose encouragement first is 1, get to know the person. If we get to know them personally, intimately, if we get to know something about them, then we can encourage them from that space. I can't get you somewhere without knowing where you want to go, right? I can't feed you without knowing what you want to eat. So in order for me to best encourage, I think we got to get to know people. We got to be invested in connecting. The second thing I think is if we want to encourage people, we have to have the tools. We got to equip ourselves to be ready to encourage. So we got to have encouraging language. And then the third thing, which is where I'll land this plane, is don't be a jerk. Can we commit to doing that? On the count of 3, don't be a jerk on 3. 1, 2, 3, don't be a jerk. Thanks for listening. I want you to know encouragement always wins. Thanks again for listening to another episode of My Life of List, hosted by yours truly, Derek Sire, powered by Paradigm Shift, recorded in the Possibility Studios. Signing off until next time.
Don't let that small moments pass you. Grab you a pen and a pad. Life is moving too fast. Slow down, live you a life of list.